All right, we'll go ahead and get started as soon as Mrs. Williams is back in her chair. Thank you. Welcome to the June 23rd, 2025 Pine-Richland School Board regular meeting. Please join me standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please, Mrs. Williams.
Mr. Morset?
Here.
Mrs. Hillman?
Here.
Mr. Kashani?
Here.
Mrs. Brusalis? Mr. Cassidy?
Here.
Mrs. Fortier?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mrs. Turchik?
Here.
Mr. Wheathorn?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, the board did meet in executive session just before this regular meeting for a safety and security update. We'll move on to item 1.02, student and staff recognition.
2 Pine-Richland Middle School teams of 7th and 8th grade GATE students placed in the 2025 Spring Stock Market Game in April. The Spring Stock Market Game is a 10-week stock market simulation that students participated in through GATE classes and at home. Students were honored at the Pennsylvania Western Region Awards ceremony at Butler County Community College on May 6th. 7th graders Lucas Ellison and Jacob Yanni earned first place among 123 middle school teams in Western Pennsylvania and first in the state, and also placed third in the state among nearly 1,600 teams ranging from upper elementary to high school. 8th graders Nija Ressler, Igor Yushevich, and Joshua Zacharias earned second place among middle school teams in Western Pennsylvania and third in the state. 8th grader Matthew Deegan placed first in the Regional National History Day competition in March for his project, The History of Rights and Responsibilities of the Roman Empire. He advanced to the state competition held in April. 8th graders Tyler Coyne and Desalina Postrich received the American Legion School Award from Richland American Legion Post 548. The award is given annually to 2 outstanding 8th grade students as selected by middle school faculty for scholarship, honor, service, patriotism, leadership, and courage. Commander Bob Schleiden from Post 548 presented the award to the students. 8th graders Juliana Hunkley, Carson Joler, Eleanor Kaufman, Keenan Parkhill, Malia Trappel, and Jack Williams earned the Pittsburgh Foundation Award for Kindness, Consideration of Others, and Willingness to Help. On May 16th, Pine-Richland Middle School's choirs and orchestra competed in the Music in the Parks Festival in Sandusky, Ohio, earning an array of awards. 7th grade choir earned first place with a superior rating. Perfect Pitch earned first place with a superior rating. 8th grade choir earned second place with an excellent rating, and 7th, 8th grade orchestra placed third with a superior rating. 5 students earned first place in the annual Cultural Communications Alliance International Business Marketing Competition held at the University of Pittsburgh's Katz Business School on May 6. Sophomore Raphael Bencoon and 9th graders Sienna Dorenzo, Luca Napolitano, Adeline Schmidt, and Pia Dargan. This year, students created a marketing plan for Sarah's Candies Buckeyes to be sold in Quebec. 16 Pine-Richland High School French students were recognized by the American Association of Teachers of French for their performance on the National French Exam in April. Gold awards went to 9th grader Marissa Mann, ranked 5th nationally, and junior Leah Wu, ranked 7th nationally. 9th grader Salesh Sentil, junior Kelsey Neal, and senior Ian Bowen, ranked 8th nationally, earned silver. Students earning bronze included 9th graders Lizzie Federick and Divi Mishra, sophomore Rachel Brito, and juniors Grace Lenny and Dia Nayar. 9th graders Blake Wilson, sophomores Cody Leeper and Allie Rischel, juniors Sophia Brezendine and Megan DeCunder, and senior Eliza Lazaro earned honorable mentions. 11 AP German 5 seniors were inducted into the Delta Epsilon Phi National Honor Society for high school students of German this year. Luke Anderson, Tate Bennett, Thomas DeVito, Emma Early, Liam Jameson, Finn Kitchie, Elena Morse, Sophia Periton Dominguez, Nicole Short, Charlotte Wolf, and Wes Wright. These students qualified for membership based on their overall and German course-specific GPAs and their overall high achievement in and completion of the German course sequence. Pine-Richland High School's Technology Student Association competed at the TSA State Conference in Seven Springs in April, placing second in the BattleBots competition. The team includes juniors Sanika Das, Mateen Hassan, Evelyn Lawler, Brian Ock, and Michael Weir, and sophomore Dylan Lane. Seneca Doss placed first in prepared presentation. Junior Doolin Stober earned first place in the Southwest Pennsylvania region in the Brighter Financial Futures Investing Challenge. Sophomore William Wessner placed second in the Spring Budget Challenge. In these challenges, students work under the direction of teacher Courtney Cronk-Love to manage real-time simulated portfolios and budgets. Pine-Richland Mars Area Air Force JROTC was recently honored with the Silver Star Community Service with Excellence Award from AF JROTC headquarters. This award is given to the top 5% of units nationwide in recognition of exceptional service to their schools and communities. Pine-Richland Mars cadets accumulated 3,781 community service hours, an average of 39 hours per cadet. Both the girls lacrosse team and baseball team participated in the WPIAL Championship this season and advanced to the PIAA State Championship playoffs. Several students represented Pine-Richland at the PIAA State Championship in track and field this spring, including seniors Jake Jones, Marin Iskey, Emery Moy, Georgia Roddinghouse and Abby Satina, sophomores Rhea Griffin and Emily Iams, and ninth grader Ariana Strader. On May 28th, 4 seniors announced their collegiate athletic commitments. Macy Boyd committed to cheerleading at Coastal Carolina. Ben McLean committed to run track and cross country at George Washington University. Sophia Regard committed to the dance team at Chapman University, and Mara Shulo committed to the dance team at West Virginia University. This year, a total of 44 students committed to collegiate athletic programs.
Thank you, Mrs. Hassinger. That's just an excellent way to wrap up the school year. And thank you for sharing, and congratulations to all the students. Okay, we'll move on to item 1.03, recognition of visitors. Mrs. Williams, how many speakers do we
Okay, I have 3 that have signed up. Our first one is Anita Ackerman. Yeah.
Good evening. I just want to came here to say thank you to the board members that voted to not raise my taxes. I discussed with some other board members about the situation prior to the election and everything else, and I just want to say I'm thankful that that decision was made. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Tracy Howe.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Howe, and my daughter Elise is a rising senior at the high school. I'm here to speak in support of student representation on the school board, beginning with the upcoming 2025-2026 school year. We were away during the June 9th meeting, but we did listen to the discussion that took place on this topic. I'm glad to know that some of you are already open to this idea. Thank you for recognizing the insight and value students can bring to these meetings. I also heard the suggestion that student focus groups might serve as an alternative. While focus groups can absolutely provide meaningful feedback, they do not offer students a consistent presence in the room where decisions are being made about their education. I believe the most effective approach is using both focus groups and student representation. Together, they offer multiple avenues for students to share their perspectives and ideas. One through ongoing participation in board meetings, and the other through topic-specific input from a broader range of students who may not have the time or interest in serving on the board. This combination demonstrates that the school board genuinely values student voice. I also understand there's concern about whether the board is currently functioning well enough to include students in its process. Respectfully, I would argue that there has never been a better time. High school students are taught about leadership, civic responsibility, and how democracy works. What better classroom than this one? What better curriculum than seeing governance in action, not just when it's easy, but also when it's hard? The fact that the board is struggling to find unity and collaboration, that is part of the lesson that these mature, intelligent students are capable of handling. And perhaps the very presence of students in this room as official representatives has the potential to improve the way the board functions. There is something powerful about being watched by the very people your decisions impact. It's grounding, and it may even encourage the group to approach this work with a greater sense of care and collaboration. Student representation is not a radical idea. It's already in place and practice in neighboring districts like North Allegheny, North Hills, and Quaker Valley, to name a few. These districts believe that students can be partners in shaping a high-quality educational experience. They also recognize that student representation provides meaningful civic engagement, cultivates leadership, and ensures that student perspectives are part of the decision-making process. By giving students a seat on this board, you would demonstrate to the student body that they are not just the subject of your decisions, that their experiences and voices matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Elise Duckworth.
Good evening. I hope everyone's summer is off to a good start. Tonight, I want to speak again about student representation on the board. At the last meeting, I heard something that was honestly difficult to wrap my head around. The board majority expressed that they didn't feel emotionally equipped to be role models for a student representative. I will stop my speech momentarily to make a point. Every single individual on this board is an adult. Every single individual on this board has the option to wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to work as an individual to make this a cohesive board. Student representation is not a woke concept, and the second that as a board you decide to be better, we can have it. And this is not a moment to say it's out of our hands, because it simply isn't. It's your choice, and you cannot reframe it to be anything else. I will continue. After that discussion, instead of taking that as a call to grow or to step up for the sake of students you serve, the decision seemed to be, let's just not have a student rep at all. And I want to respond with two thoughts. First, students never expected board members to be role models. That's not why we've been advocating for a seat at the table, and that's not why we've been showing up at meetings. What we hope for is a presence. If we are sitting at the board, we are a physical reminder of who this board represents. We are also a voice for the students, perspectives and experiences around the policies that you are shaping. Second, I've heard suggestions like using breakout rooms or alternate forms of communication with students. That might work if the board had a strong record of showing up and engaging with the student body, but that hasn't been our experience. We don't see the school board members at school, at events, or involved in student life. I also had the experience of a breakout session with some of the members of this board. For me and the other students who met with Mr. Morissette and Mrs. Miller back in February, we feel as though everything that we brought up and discussed hasn't been acknowledged or even considered. Take the student reps as an example. Until I sent multiple emails, student representation is just now getting discussed. Can you expect us to have faith in this new plan? It's hard to believe those meetings would happen consistently or meaningfully. The point that I discussed in a thoroughly written email is to have two students who care and are up to date, consistently providing explanation and evaluation of current topics in front of the community, because transparency is important. Inconsistent and unregulated breakout groups simply could not have that effectiveness and almost feels like a box you can check off on your list to say that you connected with students. Let's also be realistic. Most high school students aren't fully up to date on board issues. That's fair. But if you are serious about student input, you should be seeking out the students who are engaged, who show up, pay attention, and care. Not doing that feels like less than a strategy and more like avoiding accountability. We are not ungrateful for your ideas. We are just realistic about if our voices will even matter if breakout rooms is the route you take. Student voices matter, not just because we are affected by your decisions, but because we have something to offer too. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
that is our last speaker.
All right, we'll move on to 1.04 correspondence.
The following people emailed the board: Amy Caffardi regarding dishonesty of the board majority, Ben Dumbald regarding the 25-26 budget and to thank Mr. Kashani, Julie Wosick regarding the board president's behavior towards people in the audience, Mark Avalon to thank the board majority for not raising taxes, Roberto and Shelley Rinaldo to thank the board majority for not raising taxes, Stacy Coons to offer answers to any board member questions related to ELA, Robin Hideas to thank the board for not raising taxes, Tim Trainer to thank the board for not raising taxes, Amy Cray to thank the board for not raising taxes, and Thomas McGahan to thank the board for not raising taxes.
Thank you, Mrs. Moving on to item 1.05, it's an action item. There's a motion to approve the meeting minutes as attached.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes. Moving into item 2, strategic plan, item 2.01, the schedule board SLT workshop. It's a discussion item here for the board. I think we have August 11th as the date for this workshop. Right now, that's the tentative date that we've placed out there. How does August 11th fit with the rest of the board members as far as a date to have a workshop before the I know I'm good. for
That's
that
fine.
date.
That's fine. That should work for me.
It's too good. Others, how's that look on your schedule?
What time frame are we looking at?
Generally, we start at 5, we'll have dinner, and then we work into the session.
Because then we have the board meeting after that.
That works for me, Mr. Morset.
Too? Okay.
The second meeting date in August works better for me.
The second.
Yeah.
thing.
That date would work better for me, but I am available on the 11th.
Okay.
I am available on the 11th, but not the 25th.
That's Amy.
Correct.
Okay.
So I can do either one.
The 11th is better for me as well, and the 25th.
Okay. All right.
Looks like it's the 11th.
The 25th would work for me too, but Mark, did you?
I'm good either.
Either one, either date and stuff. So it looks like there's 5 and 5. All right.
We don't know about Christina.
Yeah. Christina.
She's on.
I think you're online there. Is the August 11th or the 25th is a better date for a workshop?
I can do either at this point. I'd probably prefer the first date,
Okay.
but at this point, I can do the 25th as well.
Okay. I think the majority of the people here on the first date, August 11th, I think we'll go for that. I'll make that happen, Bob. Okay?
Got it.
All right. The thing to focus on in there, I would suggest is, we're unprecedented times right now with the budget, and looking at 25, 26 operating expense and capital expense. What kind of reporting are we looking for from the board? Not that we discuss it here, it's all for the workshop. What would we like to see so that we keep up to speed and understand as we go through this challenging year? I think that'd be one suggestion I would have, is to talk about how we want to see that reporting and what could make it, what could be done with games and reporting to the board and what on a periodic basis, how often would that be? Any other suggestions on what we can do on the workshop in regards to that? Dr. Miller?
Yeah, historically, we've gotten clarity on the key initiatives, strategic initiatives for the year, so that shouldn't take long because it comes directly from the strategic plan.
Yep.
And again, my recommendation to the board is that we have some sort of informational, what is the systematic approach that we'll use to consider not only actuals in 25, 26, but rather how are we going to tackle some of the challenges and structural gaps that we have moving forward. So we're not deciding on anything, but we're trying to come up with an approach that we feel can lead us through public meetings towards good decision making as we look to the future.
Yep, I agree. Other comments? That all sound, how about thumbs up? Everybody okay with those recommendations
Yep.
for the workshop? Anybody disagree? I'll take no answer as affirmative. Thanks, Doc.
Okay. Joe, is your mic on?
Sorry, Joe. It was not. Thank you. So we got August, just to rehash, August 11th looks like a good date. You've heard Dr. Miller recommendation on what to discuss. Also, I offered up the 2025-6 operating and capital, what kind of reporting to help the board as we navigate through the year. And additionally, Dr. Miller said we should look into the future too and how we want to navigate and entertain discussions in the public setting, what should we best do for that. So I think those are good agenda items.
Mr. Morset, can you clarify what you mean when you say, I'm understanding Dr. Miller, he's saying we're going to come up with a systematic approach, but then I'm not clearly understanding what, I thought they were one and the same, but it sounds like they're two separate things. So can you clarify?
It very well could be the same. When you look at OpEx, you understand OpEx, operating expense, right? And then CapEx is capital expense. And looking at on a periodic basis, reporting to the board, how are we doing compared to budget, compared to actuals, or budget compared to actuals, and then forecast for the rest of the year. Are we going to be hitting our numbers that we set in the budget? You know, what's the reporting mechanism look like? How should we be receiving this information from the senior leadership team and the finance side of things, making sure we understand and we're tracking the budget as we go through the year? Does that make sense? Does that help, I should say?
So you're trying to find an approach of how we'll receive that information?
Not so much an approach, but what type of reporting do we want to see? Variance reporting showing here is your budget, here is the actual for the month, and there's a variance on different parts of departmental variance. What are the variances? So that we understand how we're tracking.
So more of a format, like how we would be receiving that information, like what format we'd receive it
That
and
would be
how
one
often?
part of the discussion, correct. Yeah, one part of the discussion would be a format.
Okay, and the other would be?
What types you would like to see. Would you like to see it on a quarterly basis? Would you like to see it on a monthly basis? Would you like to see it by departmental? Would you like to see it at the high level? You know, how would we like to see the type of reporting?
Okay, so format, timing, and then what we'd like to see, the breakdown,
Sure.
like big rocks versus
And
little
whatever
rocks.
else comes up during the discussion.
Okay. And then we'll also discuss our approach to how we will make it into the public.
Well, the approach for the public is what I think, Dr. Miller, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're talking about is, okay, as we look into the future, we want to be able to look at our expenses in the future, our challenges that we may have. How are we going to attack those challenges in the coming years? We want to do that in public. We don't do that in a workshop, but we talk about what we want to attack in the public through those challenges, if that helps.
If I'm understanding you correctly, it sounds like you're saying, what are the actuals? What were the projections and what were the actuals? Is what the type of information you're looking for.
Yes, when you...
Because this is new. This is a new request. We haven't really done that.
We've
to this-
seen some
to this
reporting.
detail is what you're
We've seen some
suggesting.
reporting. I just want to give us an opportunity to say, with the challenges that we have, do we need more reporting? What type of reporting do we need? It's basically looking at actuals. How are you looking at the budget? How are the actuals performing? And then looking out for the rest of the year, what's the projections? Are we going to hit our numbers? Do we predict we're going to hit our numbers? And looking at that. Then looking at how often do we want that reporting? Do we want it quarterly? Do we want it monthly? Just, you know, have a discussion amongst the team how we would like to see that.
And I can, the one thing I'll mention is within our .01 item each month, we do supply all the financials.
Correct.
They're usually about a month lag.
Yeah.
And then with an addition to that, where you're discussing it, I do constantly analyze the numbers, do projections through the course of the year, compare to budget. I found a good way to do that is looking at prior year, what percentage are we at through our budget versus prior year. So we have some options with that.
Good.
So we do a ton of that. It's just not necessarily put on that portion.
Yeah, and
you've
certainly
seen
you
some of
have
that,
a
so.
way of doing that internally. Yeah,
Yes.
there's no doubt about it. And
Yep.
that's the kind of discussion we have. What are you doing now? How is it happening? What would you recommend? And we have a discussion from a board level on that at the workshop. Absolutely.
But to be clear, we've seen these reports before.
Not necessarily. We've seen some reports, but I want to make sure that the reports that we may want to see, we talked to Mr. Jeswick to make sure that, you know, can we provide information this way? Have you provided information this way? You may have done it internally, maybe he hasn't shared it with the board. We would just have some more discussions on that.
And we're very transparent how we share our monthly financials each month. I think what you're saying too on that end is looking at different ways to analyze the data.
Yeah, showing variances and what's happening, what happened this month.
Mhm.
And we'll try to get to some kind of standard on that. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions on that? August 11th, workshop, good? Okay. All right, consent agenda. Item 3.01. Let me wait till this comes up. There it is. It's a motion item. Action item, motion to approve the consent agenda, including items 3.02 through 3.15 as listed.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on these consent agenda items?
I wanted to highlight item 3.04 with the auditorium updates, and it looks like Mr. Zimmerman, they worked really hard to try to break down some of those costs for us. So I just wanted to acknowledge that it looks like a savings of almost $9,000. So I just wanted to acknowledge and appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? With no further comments, we'll move to a vote to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 4, finance. Mr. Kashan.
Item 4.01 is a motion to approve the financial reports dated April 30th, 2025, and amount and accounts payable dated June 23rd, 2025, in the amount of $778,318.65, and paid accounts for May, June in the amount of $3,513,946.88 as listed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this? Okay, with no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 4.02, motion to approve budget transfers in the amount of $207,430.89 as listed.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion, move to vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 4.03, motion to approve the purchase of colored paper and oversized white paper from WB Mason for the 2025-26 school year as presented.
Second.
Motion is made, seconded. Any discussion? No discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 4.04 is an informational item and discussion item. For the July combined meeting, we'll be asked to approve our current auditors as our future auditors. So I don't know that there's any reason to switch. They've served us well. And that's it for finance.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, item 5, buildings and ground. Mr. Cassidy. Joe, I'll take this for you since you're online. We have item 5.01. This is an action item. It's a motion to approve the pool use and rental agreement for Pine-Richland Aquatics as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I do have a comment on this one. I'm just curious. I looked at the revenue base. It's not a very large revenue, or what's the revenue total, for annual revenue for this? Anybody have an idea what that would be? I see $25 here, $15 there, and there was no real total revenue piece. I was just curious.
I would have to do a calculation on that.
Yeah.
I would
What do you
have to
think?
look at the
What do you
overall.
think? A couple hundreds?
I think
Hundreds
you'd
of
have to do a calculation on it to
Yeah.
give you an accurate number.
Yeah.
So what I would say
We've
is
had it in the past, right?
PRA, correct. This is consistent with the historical
Yeah.
approach. PRA is comprised largely of residents of Pine and Richland who are
Right.
part of this aquatics.
Yeah, I just thought maybe you had a historical trend or something.
In our general facilities rentals overall, you're looking at the $150,000 ballpark for every
For
facility
everything.
use.
Okay.
So
All right. Very good.
overall, probably minimal.
Yeah, that's, okay.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing, yeah. All right, very good, thank you. All right, any other comments? Okay, no more comments, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 6, academic achievement. Mrs. Brusalis, you're online. I'll go ahead and take this for you too as well, if that's okay. First item is a motion to approve the 2025-2026 curriculum plan with the exception of grades 9 to 12 English non-elective courses, including AP English 11 and 12 as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this? Any comments?
Yes, I was just wondering if we could get more, more information on what the academic achievement meeting will look like how it will be structured, and what the discussion will be focused on. I know at our last meeting, a lot of the focus was on 9th grade, and I believe towards the end of the meeting, it was mostly focused on preparing kids for exposure to texts that they may encounter in college. So I was just wondering, is that the same intention of this joint governance, or has it changed since it's now more inclusive 9th through 12th? Just trying to get an idea of what the focus will be.
Phil, I'd like to point out that that's item 6.04, and where
There you
we
go.
will discuss the curriculum for grades 9 to 12 in that academic achievement. I think this discussion is probably more appropriate for that
Yeah,
agenda item than it is for the vote on the curriculum plan.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's because it's there on the agenda. I see it. You're right. I agree. Okay, so we'll move that discussion.
Sure.
We'll get your question answered at that time.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Okay, with no more comments, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item 6.02 is an action item. It's a motion to approve in accordance with policy 109.1, library resources, the weeding of library resources for Hants Elementary School as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion, comments on this item? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. 6.03 is a action item, motion to approve the purchase of the new library books for Eden Hall Upper Elementary as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion, comments on this item? With no comments, all in favor? We'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All opposed? Motion passes. 6.04 is a discussion information item, like to schedule the academic achievement joint governance on July 21st at 6 p.m. to discuss the curriculum for grades 9 through 12 English courses. So Mrs. Brusalis, would you like to comment, or would you like her to re-ask that question?
If you don't mind re-asking the question, just so we're answering the question.
Okay.
Sure. My question was just, what will the focus be in regards to the grades 9 through 12? And another question related to that is, when would the vote be for this next curriculum, or would that be established at that meeting? And then what's the impact of the voting timeline as far as getting what the teachers need to prepare for this new, potentially new curriculum, depending on how that discussion goes?
Ms. Rosales, you want me to jump in, or do you want to?
Let's let her go first.
Sure. So I would say the focus of the meeting will be the curriculum for grades 9 to 12 in the English courses. And this would be these would be the non-elective courses, including the AP 11 and 12 classes for English. That would be the discussion. Those are the ones that we pulled at our last meeting. And then, so we would spend the time talking about those. And as far as the impact, I'll turn that over to Dr. P, but this is about the same time when we would have approved the curriculum last year as well, if I'm correct.
Can I get one follow-up before Dr. P answers? There was a lot of focus on textbooks. Is that the intention as well, whenever we get into this discussion in July, on the core text?
Well, I do have some questions about the core text and which ones have been singled out versus other ones. And I would like to have a discussion about, we still have what, for lack of a better term, a menu in at least one other grade level. I think 11th, maybe also 12th, actually in both of those. So I do think that those are all discussions that we should have together.
Dr. P?
Okay, thank you.
Dr.
Yeah,
Pasquale, go ahead.
I'd say one of the things we'd want to talk about are the pathways that students, as they travel through our high school English curriculum, because we have multiple pathways depending on student readiness. So for board and community to see as they enter a ninth grade, perhaps academic course, what does the curriculum look like? We have shared that. What are the resources to support that curriculum, specifically core text, those that we have identified as that are assured experiences, and then do that for every course 9 through 12, so you can see the progression of challenge that the students have as they move through our ELA curriculum. I think that'll be beneficial to see that. So we're physically pulling text so you could see between the anthology and the core text what the students experience in terms of reading. But remember, that's just one aspect of the ELA program. It's the speaking, listening, it's the sharing, it's the discussions. I mean, that's just a piece of it. In terms of the timeline, depending on the feedback we get from the board, we would like to have English teachers here as well. So we'll try to get as many of our 9 through 12 ELA teachers present. We think that'll be really beneficial, that they can on the spot respond to some of the questions or comments. Not 100% certain who all is going to be available, but we'll do our best. And if they're not available, we'll try to gather as much information from them as possible. So as always, questions from the board to help us prepare in advance is appreciated. The timeline in terms of making modifications, we do have 2 board meetings in August. So depending on the scope of the feedback that we receive, I think we could probably make some modifications if they're somewhat minor and get those in front of the board. But I'd want to get teacher input based upon the feedback, make some modifications if that's appropriate, and then bring that curriculum in front of the board first or second.
Yeah, I
meeting
would
in
say August 11th would be ideal. The next meeting in August is after the syllabus is done. They're communicating with parents. That's not ideal. So ideally, board approval on August 11th. That gives the teachers the confidence to finalize their syllabus and make sure we're communicating accurately.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, any other comments? Let's move on to item 7, student services. Mrs. Miller.
Item 7.01 is an action item, and for discussion a motion to approve the independent study courses as listed below and attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this item? With no discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Item 7.02 is an action item for discussion and information. The motion to approve the career assessment agreement with LifeWorks of Western Pennsylvania as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion or comments on this item? With no comments, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, item 7.03 is a discussion item and information item for board consideration at the July meeting. Motion to approve the agreement with Wesley Family Services as attached from June 16th, 2025 through August 16th, 2025.
Next item.
Okay. Item 7.04 is a discussion and information item for board consideration at the July meeting. The motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding and Article of Agreement with the Crisis Center North as attached.
Dr. Paxton, do you want to talk more about this one? This is a new item, is that correct?
We have contracted with them in the past, and really this would be a referral through the SAP process with parent permission. And it would be based on any experience of violence that an individual would experience in terms of dating violence or domestic violence. So this, again, would be a referral through our SAP process, and parents would be involved in that process.
Okay, and so it does say then that it is a free service the first year, and then the
Correct.
next year we revisit, and then we'll see the cost, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And it would go up for board approval again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else there? Okay, item 7.05 is an information item. On Thursday, June 12th, 2025, the Pine-Richland Athletic Hall of Fame Selection Committee met to review the submitted nominations. And based on the Hall of Fame bylaws, 5 nominees and 1 team were selected to be inducted into the Pine-Richland Athletic Hall of Fame. Has Mrs. Haslinger already read these, or shall I share them? Or they can...
Go ahead, share them.
Okay.
Share them.
Okay. John Carr for baseball, football, and basketball, class of 2006. Janet Chappell for a tennis coach. Brittany Adams, soccer, basketball, and lacrosse, a class of 2004. Ben DiNucci for football, a class of 2015. Brandon Hunt, football, track and field, baseball for class of 1999, and the 2006 baseball team.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, staff services. Mr. Weathorn.
Item 8.01 is a motion to approve the PREA, PRESPA personnel and athletic, non-athletic supplementals as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor? Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.02 is a motion to approve the 2025-2026 contracted administrators' salaries as attached.
Do we have a-
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Comments? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Item
All-
8.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.03 is a motion to approve the 2025-2026 Act 93 salaries as attached.
Second.
Motion is made, seconded. Any discussion? No discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? We have online. Do we have a vote online?
Yes.
Okay, looks like they all said. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Item 8.04, I just did that. Item 8.05 is a motion to approve the
No,
IU.
you're on
No.
804.
You're on
You were
4,
right.
yes, you're on 4.
Yeah, admin support.
Motion to approve the 2025-2026 administrative support salaries as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any comments, discussion? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Motion, item 8.05 is a motion to approve the IUP psychological student practicum placements as listed below.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.06 is a motion to approve a one-year renewals with Frontline Education for its electronic document management software and applicant tracking recruiting onboarding software for a total cost of $27,669.90.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.07 is a motion to approve the third and final reading of Policy 118, Independent Study, as attached.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.08 is a motion to approve the second reading of Policy 707, Use of Facilities, as attached.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.09 is a motion to approve the second reading of Policy 815.2, Artificial Intelligence, as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I do have a comment. Last meeting, I talked about, how do we get something organized to allow the board to be educated on AI? Just some more information. It's really fast moving and so forth. Any ideas from Dr. Miller, from the administration, from your team? You guys are getting the
Not
input.
since our discussion at the last meeting.
No.
So what we talked about is we moved through with the policy. Mr. Stobener's working to identify those who can provide training. We'll do staff training first, then we'll do
Okay.
training for students, but the board can be looped into that training. We can
Okay.
schedule a workshop. We can do it through my weekly updates,
Yeah.
all of that, whatever. We're just not quite there yet.
Okay, all right. That's good.
Phil?
Any other comments?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I think I asked this question at the last meeting, but I just want to be clear on this. So I'm looking at the guidelines section on page 1, and it's instruction on AI tools. And the first sentence talks about age-appropriate instruction, and then instruction is referred to again a couple lines down. So then is the intention to have written curriculum assigned to AI? And if so, when would we see that? Before, before the school year starts or before it's taught in the classrooms?
I think it's more of a tool that we're using in the classroom, and every teacher is going to have a role in kind of explaining that, but we're going to have the training for the staff, right? The training for students in terms of what it is that we're talking about in the policy, the levels of assignments, and then it'll be lived experience. But we have business computer science classes where that's going to be coming up, I'm sure. I don't know if there's additional thinking.
Yeah, that's what I would say is most appropriate in terms of written curriculum. You'll see it eventually in business computer science classes. It won't be in place for the 25-26 school year because we're just working through the policy review. But that would anticipate because students in elementary through high school have an opportunity to take those courses.
Okay, but if it's being taught, then in every classroom, at some point they will need instruction or curriculum.
Yeah, I think the question is.
Guiding the discussion.
Yeah. From a maturity standpoint, as it evolves, there might be grade level assemblies, workshops, other ways of delivering sort of an overview of the concepts. That'll be first, I would suspect, before we get to a place where we have clearly articulated big ideas and learning goals and so forth. So we're going to have to work through that. But we have content that we deliver in other ways. We would be talking about that with the board. There's no concern. I mean, you'll see that information, and then we'll share it with families and share it with kids and begin to implement.
Okay, and do you have plans for an AR for this at all? The reason I'm asking is because on the second page under AI use and operations, it mentions established protocols.
Do you want to do your...
Sorry, is that something that you're laying out in an AR, the established protocols? And I'm looking on page 2 under AI use and operations.
We have not discussed that yet to understand how, again, as the training takes shape, it could be that the training itself becomes sort of the framework for how we implement this. This will be a part of our annual notices. It'll be in our discipline code. It'll be tied into handbooks in school buildings. So we don't generally create ARs when we embed certain language in other documents that the board takes action on. So you take action on the discipline code, you take action on the handbooks, you take action on curriculum. We'll have to figure that out, and we'll bring that forward for discussion.
Okay.
Comments over here?
Yeah, I just wanted to just make you aware, last week at the Beatty meeting, they approved their student handbook and they adopted a section on AI in their handbook. So I thought, I brought it with me and I thought it might be a good point of comparison. I'll share it with you, but.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
and
to
we'd
have
always
a-
appreciate if you're seeing things like that. If you ever want to just share that with me or
Sure.
with your Dr. Pasquinelli, Dr. Justice, no reason to wait. We'll take that from you or
Okay.
Mr. Cassidy. It's always helpful to see.
Sure. Would you like me to forward you the document?
That'd be excellent. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Mhm. Perfect.
Okay, good. Other comments? Nothing online? Okay, with that, we move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. 8.10.
Yeah, 8.10 is a motion to approve a second reading of the miscellaneous batch of policies listed below as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this item? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor? Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.11 is a motion to approve a first reading of the pooled mini batch of policies listed below as attached.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this? Comments? With no discussion, move to a vote. All in favor? Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
Item 8.12 for board is a discussion item for board consideration at the combined July meeting. Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Pine-Richland School District and Pine-Richland Education Support Personnel Association as attached. Item 8.13 is a discussion information item for board consideration at the July combined meeting. Motion to approve the student teacher as attached. Item 8.14 is a discussion information item. Policy 124, alternative instruction methods, was last reviewed in May of 2022. Attached to the policy and administrative regulations, a student application form. Under the section credit recovery, in the application, a sentence was added to clarify that the recovered credit would not be calculated into a student's grade point average. This aligns with the language of the policy.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 9,
Wait, I
operation.
have a quick question.
Question, yes.
So was it a matter of alignment of language, so it was always that way, or was
The-
there an actual change?
There was a change in the application form was changed. So that language, you see the credit recovery for previous language, that bulleted that's highlighted was omitted in the application. So now it was added in. That aligns with the policy language. So it's just a mistake within the application.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there was no change, it was just
No.
aligned.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Other comments?
I would just say relatedly, we are in the cycle of assessment. So with 124, that allows for acceleration as well. And for our elementary students, automatically we're kind of casting a net to see who's performing in a range in mathematics that may be able to course accelerate. And so we're preparing all of that. We've invited, it's over a couple hundred students who are going to be coming in over the summer months. They have a month to study the materials. They get to take the test, and if they get a 90% or above, then we do accelerate them in their grade level math course. So we have many of those assessments, lots of staff coming in to help with those over the next months. We really appreciate all of that, and we hope the students do really well.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 9, operational services. Mrs. Turchek, I'll take this if it's okay with you since you're online.
Yeah, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, first item is a action item, motion to approve Arthur Gallagher as the insurance broker for the district's insurance policies.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this? Any comments? Okay, with no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All opposed? Motion passes. Purchase of end-user devices, action item, motion, hang on a second, waiting for it to refresh. I want to make sure I get it right, Mr. Stobner, the words. There it is, got it. All right, motion to approve the purchase of end-user devices in the amount of $561,154.73 from Bloom and Apple as detailed in the attached proposals.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion, any comments? Okay, no discussion. We move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay. Item 9.03, Athletic Department outdated equipment disposal. It's an action item. Motion to approve the discarding of surplus items from the Athletic Department included on the attached list. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. Move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. 9.04 PSBA membership renewal. This is a motion to renew the membership of the PSBA services for the 2025-2026 school year in the amount of $20,312.64.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Discussion, comments on this item? I know that we've had recent conflict, or not conflict, we've had access problems for Mrs. Brusalis, and through help with Mr. Hoffman, we were able to secure that she was able to get online access now, and that was validated over the weekend here.
Yes, however,
Yes.
I'm not getting my full membership.
Yes.
To this.
Right, you're not getting the emails. I heard that from Mr. Hoffman here today, that you're not getting emails. So there's still a lot of information that is still not coming forth. And I know that Mr. Hoffman has sent an email to council on their side, but I don't expect an answer here today because it was sent like at 4 o'clock when we found that out. So it will have to probably come tomorrow, hopefully, from them.
When does it need to be renewed?
July 15. And our next meeting is the 21st, so we don't have.
Well, my other concern is that they haven't, we're paying for this service, but they're not delivering on what they have promised us with this service. So, I think we should get a discount on whatever, or at least some sort of reimbursement on the amount that they are asking us to pay, since they haven't been delivering on their contract.
And Christina, how long has it been that you haven't been receiving?
Since March 2024.
Jeez.
I would agree with the discount. I think I brought it up at the last meeting.
Yes, you did, yeah.
It doesn't seem right that 1/9 of our board doesn't have access to something that we're paying for. I mean, I don't want to hold it up with the renewal, but I know I asked this, and I thought Mr. Hoffman, I know we're still working through some issues, but I know we kind of talked about last night this month.
Yeah, I would agree as well, and you're right, Amy. I remember you mentioning that last time we got together. Mr. Hoffman, as far as approaching this subject with them, do you need my help? Should you, since you're already in communication with their council, do we just continue to carry that on, looking for this as an opportunity for us to have a discussion with them? I'd be open to a phone call with them too as well if we had to.
I don't know if that's necessary. In my dealings with council, she's indicated that Mrs. Brsalis's access would, in fact, be restored. So I was a little disappointed to hear this afternoon that had not occurred. So, counsel for PSBA has informed me that was going to happen. I have no reason to, I sent out more communication during this afternoon saying, hey, we didn't have that access restored. So, I mean, if need be, we could have you perhaps talk to somebody other than council. But I frankly don't have an explanation as to why the access wasn't, or the email communications weren't restored because I was told that was going to happen.
Right. I could send a letter to, their leadership team or the president and tell them, just as we talked about here, which we haven't had access since March of 2024, and we've been working on this for a number of months, and we still don't have full access, and so we're looking for a credit for the past invoice, and so what are they going to do about that?
Can we go over the timeline slightly? So the access was lost in March. When was Mr. Hoffman made aware?
Oh, I don't remember. It was a number of months ago, but I tried to deal with that directly with PSBA leadership at the time. And we went back and forth, and finally it got to be a stalemate. They said we had to turn it over to legal counsel, and that's at that time we turned it over to Mr. Hoffman to say, well, you need to represent us there.
My involvement.
It's been nearly the whole academic year, Ashley.
Okay.
We've been trying to, whether we pulled in Mr. Hoffman after both. I first tried to get it reestablished, and then I asked for Phil's help, and then when Phil didn't get anywhere, that's when we had to get Mr. Hoffman involved.
And Mr. Hoffman, do you feel like, how does it work with getting the reimbursement or getting back, or like how would what does that look like to you?
Well, I mean, we can make that demand. They have been in breach of the agreement that this district has, that is to provide the 9 board members with certain benefits, and that didn't happen. So I think the first step would be for me to make a demand to PSBA. I don't know, frankly, how to value that yet, because you're paying this year I see you have an all-access package. I'm assuming that's what you've had in the past. That includes policy, a host of things beyond what we're talking about. So you know, again, my step would be to put some demand on the table for that refund.
So
How
you'd
they
come
would
up with.
react to that, I can't predict.
So you'd come up with the value, the amount.
I'd start with 1/9. 1/9. I'd start with 1/9 of the value and let them come back with a counter if they have to.
And I would just add it's over two, well, it's almost one full academic year, so one cycle of our membership, but also nearly a half of a year prior to that as well.
Wait, why is that?
Because it was March 2024, that would have been prior to this year's, the current year's agreement.
And in terms of valuation, I don't think 1/9 is a fair assessment, again, because
It's a first level.
it involves, you know, your membership involves other aspects, so.
Understood.
Yeah, so, and I guess I just would like to, if we're thinking about not renewing this, it sounds like we're going to renew it, but maybe ask for credit, which is fine. I just want to make sure, this is more, for me, this is more about Barb than any of us. I'd like to know, if we don't renew this, the impact it would have on Barb. I know Barb uses the tool, or do you not? Like, what's the consequence if we don't have this to you, Barb?
Well, the policies and errors would become an issue.
Right.
For multiple reasons. So I have a hard copy of a manual for each administrative regulations and policies. However, our website has many, many links to board docs policies.
Yeah.
And so that would be an issue, a big issue for that.
So I just want to make sure we know, like, I know that.
Right.
I just want to make sure everyone's aware in case we're thinking about not renewing this.
And then just even updating legislation and things for policies that would then most likely go over solicitors.
Correct, yeah. The Policy News Network is the
Yeah.
most significant part of our membership to PSBA. And without it, districts that handle policies in a sort of a one-off basis based on things that are happening, again, pay generally higher fees because they're asking their solicitor to review policy by policy instead of realizing the benefit of the entire sort of system that PSBA has developed.
Is that
So
even
it would be a significant impact
I'm-
on our work as administrators, on every batch that we just looked at is heavily impacted by the Policy News Network.
I'm willing to renew, but not until it's resolved. So if we are voting tonight, I would vote no to renew, but once we resolve this, then I would vote to renew it.
So
I don't know what the
my only
timeframe
caution
looks
with
like.
that
Is
is
a timeframe,
you may
yeah.
suffer a disruption.
Right.
Yeah, right, but I think we're owed money, so.
So what if we vote to renew, subject to Mr. Hoffman and letting
Conditional.
Mr. Morissette figure something out, but we don't have an interruption in our service?
Conditional approval, you're saying? Approved by
Look, at
conditions
the end of the
that
day,
there's a
look,
credit.
this is, look, it's $20,000, not that we want to burn $20,000, but the importance of having this to the
Oh,
district
absolutely.
is, let's be real, we're not going to walk away from this. So,
Well, I would just then put it out there that, that it better be resolved, and maybe even some for next year, that we're not gonna forget about this, because we are not in the wrong here. They have violated their own bylaws in doing this. There's no explanation for, what standing, they have no standing to do this, because there is violation of every agreement that they have with us, including us as individual school board members and our membership, as individuals.
Mr. Hoffman, how many hours do you feel like this would take for you to resolve, potentially?
Depends on the response I get.
Yeah.
I just mean, because if we're talking about 1/9 of this fee, I think we should be comparing how much it will cost us to pursue it versus if there's going to be disruption and then a cost to us even to get that money back. Is it worth?
Well, it
Is it
certainly isn't
worth
going
all
to
of
take
that?
long to make a demand.
Okay.
Right.
And then I think you can gauge things as they occur. So,
Okay.
To your earlier question, actually, in terms of, well, what does the process look like? And ultimately, I guess you could sue them for breach of contract.
Oh, good grief.
You're probably not going to do that, right?
Mhm.
So, at least the first step in terms of making a demand and reiterating what I've already communicated to them, that we do consider it to be a breach of their contract, to see whether we can get any
So I
traction.
guess I just want to fully understand, since we're going to have to, if we're concerned about disruption, like Mr. Weethorn mentioned, we don't have another meeting until after the disruption would occur. So if we do a conditional vote, but then it doesn't come back in our favor if they don't meet the demand, if they don't, because
Well, I think
clearly this hasn't been top of mind for them or front of, because they're not really responding and things have kind of been piecemeal. So judging by the history and the timeline, it hasn't been very responsive.
Well, so my suggestion would be then, the consequence for them not agreeing to what we're asking, which is a small thing, is that we will then take the next year to find an option. We won't renew next year. So like, we just need a runway to do that.
Fall.
Yeah.
Right.
So
fall.
you're suggesting we continue, no disruption, and then address it next year if we.
If we don't get what we want. I mean, there is a matter of principle here. They should
Yeah.
live up to what they say they'll provide, so there's
Mhm.
nothing, there's,
But
that, you know.
Something else to consider is that we have Christina as our delegate, and she does not have access right now to the
So they
portal,
need-
to the website, to the platform.
Oh, wait,
So
I
how
think
are
she
we?
does.
As of Friday, they finally
Oh,
gave
good,
me
okay,
access to the
okay.
portal. What I'm not getting are what they advertise as a benefit of our membership, are all the emails that you get and the updates that you get. They are still dragging their feet on that.
Okay.
So they need to do that. But I just know that the impact to Barb was, it would not be fair to Barb to make her suffer from this. So let's
No,
work this out, and we'll,
Well,
So no conditional, we would just vote straight up.
Well, I think.
that's a recommendation, yeah.
That's what
yeah.
I'm just trying to
So,
understand.
Mr. Stobner, did you have a question or a comment? I saw you raising your hand up there.
There may be a technical reason for Ms. Bursalis is not receiving those, as in possibly going to her spam account or spam folder. So
Okay.
I would think we might want to have a conversation about that before.
Can you see her spam folder?
Yes.
And
Sean
it's-
can
is
see
it there?
everything.
Monday's report there?
Yes.
Very good. Very good, very good. Okay, that's good news.
The spam, if it's going, not getting in everyone else's, why is my spam filter different?
Because you're not interacting with it frequently enough.
So, I think Mr. Stobner can probably determine that. He can figure that out, he can figure that out, but,
Re-upped me, and it's not that I haven't been interacting with them, it's because they haven't been interacting with me. So, this has been documented for over a year.
okay, so what we have is, looks like we probably have the good access for it. Looks like it's been granted back, according to what Mr. Stobner said. But we should make a demand on them that they have, since March of 2024, we have that. And I think, as Mr. Kashani has said, that we should go through with an approval, but we also make the demand to them. And if they don't demand us, then we look at alternatives as a possibility. We have more discussion down the road on that one. Would that be, I know that's acceptable to you.
It's fine.
What about the others?
I just want to make sure we get this approved so that the district is not interrupted in the core. And again, at the end of the day, on a $20,000 contract, we get $500 back one way or the other isn't going to move the needle. And I'm not terribly excited about putting an additional burden on the administration as a result.
Okay, good. Other comments
I would
on
agree
that?
with Mike as well, I would agree with that.
Okay.
With Amy.
Other comments?
Like I said, I'm okay with moving forward as long as we continue to have conversations with them and get
Yeah.
this resolved for the next contract.
Yep. So we will make a demand, Mr. Hoffman. I can work with you. We can figure out the right number. It shouldn't be hard. We'll tell them we should have something there, and that's fine. And then we'll move to if there's any other comments, we will move to a vote. I'll give you one last chance. Any other comments? Okay, so let's move to a vote. And let me get here back online. And we did have a motion, Mrs. Williams, and it was seconded
We
because
did.
we had our discussion.
Yes.
So again, it's motion to renew the membership PSBA. We will go after to see if we can get a credit. That will take place. Okay, so we've made the motion, it's been seconded. No more further discussion. Let's move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 All opposed? The motion does pass. I'll work with you, and we'll come out to that. Okay, very good. All right, moving on to item 10, board business, 2026 PSBA legislative platforms. This is a motion to approve the attached proposal submission for PSBA's 2026 legislative platform. It's a discussion item as well.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded, so discussion on this platform submission. Is
Do
there-
Mrs. Brsalis or Mrs. Miller want to give us a overview of what?
I think simply it is a change that reflects the resolution that was just passed by this board, 2 meetings ago, or was it last meeting, on charter schools. So it is language directly from our resolution.
Okay, so you're just wanting to add this language
To the platform.
to the platform, but no indication of taking any of the platform things away?
No,
That they have
no, that's a
listed?
good point. So what we were thinking was this is item, to replace their item 3.13 with this and move theirs to 3.14.
Okay,
So
so
to
then
add
when
it
we
in.
look through all the other, the way the platforms are formatted, it's different core principles, so 1, 2, 3, 4. There's none in there that you would recommend
Those
them
aren't up
taking
for a
away?
change this time. That's every other year, the priorities. So we're not able to make changes to those.
So which ones are we able to make changes to?
Everything except the 4 bullet points, which are the legislative priorities.
Other comments?
Yeah, so.
Okay, go ahead.
I do. Leslie or Christina, I like that you've included the language from the resolution, because we all agreed on that new language. There's one item on page 17, and it's
Yeah.
under I. It says adopt a funding structure for cyber charter schools, a set tuition. I think we just need to take out the word set, because our resolution does not talk about
I
it.
agree. Yeah, I noticed that.
A set, so that would be just one word deletion.
All right.
Okay.
So that's page 17.
Item number I.
I,
And
you want
it's
to make
the-
that change by deleting set.
Yeah, so just start the sentence with tuition, probably. Just take out a set, and then tuition should be established. And that just makes it consistent with the new language that we're adding. Okay.
Other comments? Okay, then we will move to a vote. We've got it seconded. Again, it's approved to approve the attached proposal for submission to PSBA's 2026 legislative platform. Move to a vote. All in.
I think we need to add that second change as well.
Oh, yeah.
To do a motion to amend.
Yeah, a motion to amend.
Thank you.
Let's pull that out and look at that.
Motion to
To
approve the
amend.
attached proposal. And
Gotcha. Okay, so it's page 17. The motion is to adjust the item I
And remove a
and remove
set.
the words "a set tuition" and change it to
Well-
"a tuition,"
Just tuition.
or just tuition. So remove "a set" and to just leave tuition there.
Correct.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Yeah.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on that change? Okay, move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mrs. Williams, for that. Okay, now we have to vote on the amended motion. The amended motion includes what was submitted plus the amendment we just did to change. Okay, so It's a new motion. It's a motion to approve the attached proposal for submission to PSBA's 2026 legislative platform, as well as the amended motion that we just approved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on that? With no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All opposed? Motion does pass. We good? Okay. All right, we're good. All right, moving on to item 11, meeting closed and reports. Any reports? No reports at this time. We go to recognition of visitors, 11.02. Mrs. Williams?
We were quick today.
Efficiency.
Hello, my name is Sarah Latari, and I'm a rising sophomore at the high school. With 1 year of high school complete, I can confidently say that I truly love this school. So, with this in mind, it confuses me how this board has acted. As said in our school's goal, you are supposed to focus on learning for every student every day. The way this board has acted is disappointing. Due to the financial decision that was made, there will now be a $5 million deficit next year. This has already resulted in cutting staff and increased costs of many school-related expenses. This impacts the students' school experiences. You have caused some students to be unable to get the support they need. You have shown that you devalue the arts in our schools. You have caused our staff to take on more responsibility, and you have demonstrated that you do not care for us as students. You've caused many expenses to be increased for next year, causing a larger impact than simply having a tax increase. For my family, the fees we pay will be higher than the proposed tax increase, and it hasn't even completely covered the deficit. As I understand it, there will be an even larger budget shortage next year. What is your plan to address that? I'm truly disappointed in this board's decision. It has demonstrated that you do not care for our learning as students. I love this school district. Why don't you?
Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Brittany Kindersmith.
Good evening, Brittany Kindersmith, Richland Township. I have 2 students in the district. I wanted to speak tonight in support of the proposed ELA curriculum for grades 9 through 12. Thanks to the incredibly in-depth curriculum plans that are provided to us, all families in our district have the ability to exercise their familial rights to ensure their child reads whatever texts that their guardians or parents deem necessary before they head off to college. As for my family, I would put my trust in the fact that the copious hours of time given to developing the curriculum has resulted in the strongest possible education able to be provided to our students with the resources that the ELA department is allocated by this board. I believe that these people whose careers are based on knowing how to prepare our students for the future are more knowledgeable about what is expected of incoming college students than someone who graduated college more than 25 years ago. The curriculum for all subjects and all grades throughout our district is so well done. They talked earlier about the students who are invited to take the math acceleration placement tests. Those students who are invited to do that are able to study before they take that test because you can go on our district website and see exactly what they would learn in math next year. I know because my kid has to take that test. It's just really frustrating to be in this position again, where we're delaying the staff again, where we're asking the staff to come in over their summer vacations to answer questions that they feel redundant on this end, I guess. We've talked about the core texts and why certain things are listed as core texts multiple times at this point. The teachers need to have some amount of ability to figure out what is going to engage a particular student. That is part of what makes a teacher great, and the teachers that we have in this district are great teachers. So do not hamstring them by not letting them do their jobs to the best of their ability. Thank you.
Last speaker is Jen Buse.
Good evening, Jen Buse. I have 3 kids in the district still. 2 will be in high school, and I am a taxpayer. Again, I wanted to voice my concerns with the intense scrutiny of our ELA teachers. They've recently taught the kids who were first in the state. If I remember correctly, why are we interrogating them on why they're choosing certain books when you clearly couldn't actually care less? And then I did want to talk on the PSBA discussion, and just to refresh people's memory if they weren't paying attention, in March of 2023, Ms. Brusalis stated publicly in a conference in her capacity as a PR school director that she intended to create an opposing resource to PSBA. This was March 2023. Some highlights of that appearance on the panel are as follows. Primary themes of the panel included putting conservative and religious values in public schools, school parent choice, and taking tax dollars from public schools and putting them into private schools. Brusalis tells the audience, quote, "We need conservative voices serving on our school boards. We need to plant parents groups that are conservative and fighting for conservative values in every school across the state. When you get elected, I want to know who you are because we have been working statewide to try to connect the conservative school directors so that we can have a collective voice in Harrisburg, but also to serve as a resource to each other." Brusalis also states, quote, "There's nothing that's going to help me talk about conservative issues in a conservative way that's coming out of PSBA. Also, quote, probably 90% of the time I don't agree with what PSBA tells me." And then in December of 2023, Christina Brusalis formed the Pennsylvania School Directors Coalition. That launched in December of 2023. No transparency exists about who provides funding for this coalition or who else sits on its board. This group offers an assortment of training on topics ranging from Sunshine Act overview, oversight of school curriculum, and evaluating and selecting solicitors to collective bargaining. That was taken from her website, which has very little transparency. That was December 2023, and then in March 2024, PSBA dropped some access for Ms. Brusalis. I am happily surprised to hear Mr. Whitethorn say publicly that it's not like we're going to drop PSBA, because honestly, I am quite certain that her intention is actually to get us onto this Pennsylvania School Directors Coalition, which would then profit herself. So I'm really happy. Thank you for your vote and listening to me.
Okay, that's it. Okay, we'll move to item 12.01. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.